baik tu dia jadi mereka tahu रेडियो फीजी बहुत रेडियो फीजी रोज सुनता हूँ
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
In the news tonight, Fiji's COVID-19 patient number increases yet again. Airport is shut down tomorrow. And expect more cases of coronavirus.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Spate.
Fiji has today confirmed its fifth case of COVID-19. Prime Minister Vurenge Bainimarama announced that a 31-year-old woman came into contact with our first confirmed case during a Zumba class earlier this month. Bainimarama says all members of that class were directed to self-quarantine, and 4 days after the woman started displaying symptoms of the virus. He says the woman was tested and her results came back positive for COVID-19 this morning. Kelly Vavala reports.
Once again, I'm joining you after...
Fiji's fifth case of COVID-19, a woman from Lautoka was in contact with the first case, the flight attendant who had contracted the disease last week.
During the Zumba class, we understand she worked out in close proximity with the first patient and shared a hug. When she later recognized the symptoms, she notified our rapid response medical teams, who securely and hygienically transported her via ambulance to the isolation ward at Lautoka Hospital.
Bainimarama says with every case of the virus, their contact tracing team has been aggressively identifying, quarantining and testing every person who came into contact with any of the confirmed COVID-19 patients.
We are lucky that this patient was in quarantine when her symptoms first developed. She shares a household with 9 others, 2 of whom were also showing symptoms and have been isolated in Lautoka Hospital.
PM says this is exactly why they had to shut down the Lautoka confined area.
We knew there was a risk that our first patient may have spread the virus to others. That is why we did not hesitate in shutting down movement into and out of the Lautoka confined area. No one in and no one out.
The head of government says self-quarantine isn't a voluntary measure, it is a compulsory legally mandated order.
To those not following our instructions, I have to ask, is this a joke to you? What in God's name are you thinking? While Fijians in Lautoka are living under a lockdown, while our health workers work day and night to test and treat patients, and while the elderly are restricted to their homes, these Fijians are spitting on all of the sacrifices their fellow Fijians are making.
Globally, there are now over 414,000 confirmed cases in 194 countries and territories. PM says hundreds are dying every day, and we're seeing a troubling trend of a 10% day-over-day increase in total cases, indicating the worst of the spread is yet to come. Kelly Vavala, FBC News.
Kelly is now live with us. Kelly, it's come to light that 36 Fiji Airways flight attendants failed to adhere to self-isolation measures and could or may have possibly put more people at risk. What has the Prime Minister's reaction been to this?
Well, Jackie, the Prime Minister sure did not mince his words this afternoon. Being a flight attendant is a highly competitive job, and hundreds, even thousands of Fijians strive for these positions. It's a position one should hold with pride and not take for granted. The PM says if such irresponsible behavior continues, then Fiji Airways should not hesitate to clean house and replace people. It was fortunate that the Health Ministry and the government was alerted quickly about the breach. If not, in a matter of about a week, Jackie, we'd be talking about thousands of cases.
Kelly, now with regards to some members of the public who are still not following the authorities' advisories, what's the PM's message for them?
Well, Jackie, people should understand that this is serious. Fiji is at war with the virus just like the rest of the world. The first case was announced and confirmed on Thursday last week, the second on Saturday, the third on Monday, and the fourth just yesterday. Now we're at 5, and people are to adhere to the advisories that's been given by government. The PM cannot emphasize enough. You can join the fight simply just by washing your hands with soap and water. Practice physical distancing distancing. Remember, 2 meters distance is safest, and follow the directive that's been given to you by authorities. And if you're told to quarantine, do it, or government will make you do it. Jackie.
Thanks for that, Kelly. Fiji needs to look at the situation of nations like Italy and prepare the fight against COVID-19 collectively, and our country can expect more cases in the near future. The average age of our 5 confirmed COVID-19 patients in Fiji is 27 years old. Bainimarama says there's a vast number of Fijians in isolation and under compulsory self-quarantine.
It is likely we'll confirm more cases in the near future. That is why it's vital everyone in Fiji, everyone and everywhere in Fiji continues to avoid all non-essential travel. Children should stay at home. The elderly should stay at home. For everyone else, outside of going to work, buying food, medicine, essential goods, getting money, or accessing life-sustaining services, do not leave the house.
2 close contacts of the 5th confirmed COVID-19 patient are also isolated and undergoing tests. The family members include a baby who is showing symptoms of COVID-19. Edwin Nund reports.
The 2 family members of patient 5 are tonight quarantined at the Lautoka hospital.
A 1 year, 9-month-old baby and a sister of the patient. So they are also now in Lautoka hospital, undergoing investigation and treatment.
She and her family had self-isolated as soon as it was discovered that she had been in contact with patient 1. 5 days later, she too developed symptoms.
She was visited daily by the health team, and then as stated last Monday on the 23rd, she developed cough and fever. She reported this, was identified by the response team, and was taken into Lautoka hospital.
So it brings home to us how the ability of this virus can propagate or spread just by sharing a hug and being in close proximity. So I think.
Meanwhile, health centers and hospitals around Fiji are scaling back some non-essential medical services to redirect staff and resources towards the COVID-19 response.
And Edwin is live with us now. Edwin, with one more case, what is the condition of the other patients?
Jackie, patient 1 is in stable condition at the Lautoka hospital, while his mother and baby nephew, both of whom tested positive for COVID-19, are admitted at the Nandi hospital, also in stable condition. Now, patient 4, a 28-year-old Fijian man from Suva, is admitted at the Nandi hospital in stable condition. 3 of his family members are also isolated at the same facility in Navua as a precaution.
Now, Edwin, although it's only 5 patients so far, is there a pattern emerging here?
Jackie, the common link in 3 of the cases is contact with an individual who was COVID-19 positive. The 2nd, 3rd and 5th patients were all infected by the same person because they all, without knowledge of the patient's COVID-19 status, came in close proximity of patient 1. These are all local transmissions, meaning they were not imported from overseas. This is why the authorities keep stressing the need for Fijians to adhere to instructions. Stay away from other individuals, stay home, don't socialize, and most importantly, practice good hygiene.
Thanks for that, Edwin. Prime Minister Vurenge Bainimarama has announced that Nandi International Airport will shut down from tomorrow and all local shipping services will cease from Sunday. The PM adding that to stop the coronavirus getting out of control, all shipping services for passengers will cease.
We're seriously concerned about the virus ever reaching any of our outer island communities. Ladies and gentlemen, from this Sunday, the 29th of March, all passenger travel to our outer islands will cease. Shipping lines for freight will continue with increased bulk but decreased frequency to ensure food and other essential goods are supplied across our islands. Anyone who regularly travels this route should decide over the next 4 days whether they prefer to spend the next few months.
Meanwhile, our West journalist Felipe Naikaso is back with us after the COVID-19 scare. He was in self-isolation after being in contact with a second patient, but has been cleared by the authorities. Felipe, great to have you back. How was your experience, and how is Nandi today after the announcement by PM?
Yes, Jackie, and thank you for that. And also glad to be back after being cleared by the health authorities. And something that I was very pleased with is how the doctors who were tasked to look after my case, how they were very concerned and constantly calling me during the daytime and even at night. I had two doctors. One would call in the day and one would call at night, and they would just ask me if I had developed any symptoms. One thing both of them stressed to me was that if at any point in the period I was in self-isolation, if I developed any symptoms, I would have to call the numbers or even call them and notify the health authorities. Also, after the Prime Minister's announcement today, we took a drive around Nandi, and just from observation we saw that there were more and more people wearing gloves and wearing face masks. We even noticed that a lot of people had carried hand sanitizers around with them, and they would use these hand sanitizers especially after they would open doors, use the ATM machines, and especially after they were doing their grocery shopping. Also, one thing that we noted that was something that wasn't practiced, especially in the Nandi town area and also in Namaka, was the social distancing. And I hope that the relevant authorities will really come down hard on these people, as majority of people can still be seen just casually sitting around, having a talno session, and just not worrying about things that's happening around them.
Thanks for that, Felipe. And again, it's great to have you back. Up ahead, no shortage of products, assures FCCC. And hand sanitizer dispensers for Suva bus stand. Details after the break.
Natango aprosra nangarse, ngor kraki, do televizyon varong na Radio Fiji 1, nandomi bit.
Radio Fiji 1 nandom.
As the coronavirus crisis grips the entire world and people seeking reliable information, misinformation and fake news are being widely shared online. But Fijians say they are switching to traditional media as they seek the latest factual and verified information on the virus. This follows strict actions by police, where a few have been arrested for propagating misleading information and fake news on social media. Koroi Tandulala reports.
The massive circulation of misinformation and fake news on social media about COVID-19 has made Fijians shift their news consumption from social media to traditional media.
What's happening right now is that the shift towards traditional media has started again in this country at least, and around the world as well, whereby people are now believing more of what's coming out of traditional media than on social media and fake news and misinformation.
Traditional media, I believe, from the perspective of the Fiji Times, plays an important role. In fact, it plays a critical role in how information is disseminated to the masses.
While Fijians have been advised to avoid unnecessary movement and socializing outside their home, media houses and journalists are now united on the front line, bringing the latest COVID-19 news to the mass.
This line of work, obviously there are limitations, but then also there's also the fact that press conferences will go ahead. Interviews will have to be done.
Now, all journalists are working very, very hard to get out the information regardless of what media organization they are part of. And I think we salute all the journalists. Our profession is something that will not allow us to go into self-isolation at home and work from home.
Situations such as the one we are currently in have time and again proven that traditional media will always remain your verified source of information. The number of fake news that was shared recently created unnecessary fear and panic among Fijians, and these should be a lesson learned by many. Koroi Tandulala, FBC News.
There is no shortage of food products or toilet paper, assures the Fijian Competition and Consumer Commission. Chief Executive Joel Abraham says they are in constant contact with manufacturers and retailers who have guaranteed that production is normal. Kritika Kumar reports.
The country is not running out of any essential items.
I've even spoken to companies like Asilio Care as well as the manufacturers of number one, they've got enough stock, not only here in Suva but in their Lotoka branch as well. So even people in Lotoka need not worry about running out of toilet paper.
The FCCC anticipates some minor disruptions in supply due to the lockdown in Lotoka, as some goods are packaged out of Lotoka.
So doing assessments in Lotoka and across Fiji, our monitoring teams have been out. Our team in Lotoka has gone around supermarkets in Lotoka just to check what items are there and what items are not there. We're also talking to companies to look at alternative sourcing.
Meanwhile, the FCCC has warned traders not to market products as protection against coronavirus unless verified from authorities. Consumers are being urged to refrain from buying such products.
Today, there is no kiwa, there is no development of such kits that consumers can use at home to, at least detect COVID should they have it.
The consumer watchdog warns that unverified products pose a serious health risk to the entire population. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
7 hand sanitizer dispensers have been installed at the Suva bus stand to help people practice good hygiene when travelling in light of COVID-19. As a vast majority of our population travel by bus, the City Council has begun implementing its contingency plan. Lena Rees visited the Suva bus stand and files this report.
Hand sanitizers have become an essential item on everyone's shopping list, and now efforts are being made to have it readily available for the traveling public.
We continue to see what the government and authorities are doing to help the people, and we are happy.
I think it's a very good idea. Each and everybody is taking benefit out of it in Suva.
Yeah, it's a good idea, especially in public places, to minimize or even stop the spread of coronavirus.
Some believe awareness is still needed on hand sanitization and hand washing.
Yeah, the dispense is okay, it's there, and I feel that people just need to be aware on how to use these dispensers.
I just say that the thing is good, so I'm advising everyone to wash their hands and stay safe.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It's a good idea to help the people around. Help them much, eh?
Others who spoke to us today but refused to come on camera were not aware of the hand sanitizers that were available at the Suva bus stand. However, the Health Ministry continues to stress the simple washing of hands with soap and water, practicing proper hygiene and social distancing can help prevent the spread of the virus. Lena Rees, FBC News.
Parents are using extracurricular activities to keep their children busy and safe during the school holidays. This is also helping them to ensure that they are abiding by the advisories issued by the government to combat the spread of COVID-19. Karalaini Tavi visited some homes today.
Mersini Taivode, the mother of 6 children, says it is important to keep up to date with the news during this time.
This thing is real, and take advantage of the listening to the newses and all the precautions that has been going around, and just follow what the Health Ministry had been advising us.
Taivode says the school holidays has given them a time for family interactions, something they never did before.
Good, we have a lot of family time. We talk and sit and eat together. Unlike other holidays, they got places to go to because they're allowed to go anywhere they want to. Yes, I think it's a good family, good for the parents to stay home with the kids and talk to them as much as they can.
For the Mbuka family in Dombati, these 4 children have been given a task by their mother.
They spend time on their phones. This is the only thing they do. They either play board games or they do the activities which their mother printed for them to do in the school holidays.
As government urges Fijians to remain in their homes, parents must ensure that during these pressing times, our children are safe and secure. Karleni Tavi, FBC News.
And we join Whitney now with the latest from the business world.
Thanks, Jackie. Coming up after the break. Business slows down for Savu's only chocolate makers. Stay with us.
My name is Neha and I'm from Kadavi, and Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
The directive from the Prime Minister has been taken on a serious note by restaurants and fast food chains around the country, especially in the usual eateries around Suva City. Most restaurants now display notices on their doors that only 20 people or less can eat in, while the remaining customers will not have the option but takeaway. Alpanista Wangai Randovu reports these measures are in place to minimize the spread of the deadly COVID-19 virus.
It isn't a normal day for any restaurant as shops are empty and operators neither entertaining eating following directives from the government in the wake of COVID-19.
We are trying our best to adhere with the commanding authorities. We have put in place notices whereby we are allowing only 20 people on the premises, including our staff.
At the popular Wishbone outlet in Suva, hygiene is on top of its list.
Our staff have got hand gloves on, their mask on, and they're trying to wipe out the customers once the customers leave. And yeah, we're just trying our best to have the best basic hygiene.
Even the smallest of food outlets have taken heed of the Prime Minister's directive.
Our boss have taken some tables home so that we can only cater for 20 people to eat in, and apart from that, we advise people to do takeaway serves.
The Attorney General making it clear that while economic activity is important, there is reason measures are in place.
When we're not asking people to reduce their spending, we're simply asking them to put their health first. So if you want to have takeaway, or if you want to eat at a restaurant, we're suggesting to you have a takeaway.
World-renowned chains such as Burger King and McDonald's have also limited their indoor customers, at the same time encouraging Fijians to do takeouts. Word is also that customers in other food courts around has dropped as people practice the directive from government. Alpanista Wangai Randovu, FBC News.
Small tourism business operators in Savu are feeling the pinch of drop in visitor arrivals as measures have been taken to stop the spread of COVID-19. While they won't expect tourists for a while, these operators are doing what they can to stay afloat as the nation finds its way around containing the virus. Eleanor Turangai View reports.
Barely a year-old Kokomana Savu's only chocolate manufacturing business heavily relies on tourists for its day-to-day operation.
On an average week, we get 10 to 15 tourists who come by to do a tour of the cocoa farm and the chocolate factory and to buy chocolate here on the farm. And then on a good day, if there's a cruise ship in town, we get maybe 30 or 40 tourists in one day.
And Moorhead and Richard Markham are originally from the UK and only opened the chocolate factory in Daku Estate last July. They're looking at changing their current operational plan after they received their last lot of customers last week.
The kind of thing we've got to think about is whether we can develop our local markets. We've been targeting tourists with a rather high-end product, quite expensive product.
The couple have had to contribute to the financial running of the business from their own pockets, a sign of what is to be expected in the weeks to come.
But sooner or later we can't survive indefinitely without a cash flow, so of course we're very keen to keep our team together and make sure that they have their livelihoods and also our suppliers. So.
Kokomana also plans to use this period of lull in tourist arrivals to make more chocolates, create new flavors, do staff training and continue with cocoa bean farming. Eleanor Turangai View, FBC News.
Sinifa from HFC Bank joins us now with the latest from the world stock market.
The US dollar seized its decline and gains in riskier currencies as fresh rises in coronavirus cases kept markets on edge and the greenback funding market tight. Foreign exchange markets were in consolidation as the prospect of a huge US stimulus package bolstered Asian stock markets, although gains in riskier currencies were tempered. Currencies that fell the hardest last week hung to overnight gains. The pound was steady, Aussie was 0.2% weaker, while Kiwi fell 0.5%. Within funding markets, signs of stress remain as businesses and investors drive enormous demand for dollars to cover liabilities and as a shelter from a turbulence that has hit nearly every asset class. That's all for now from HFC Bank, Vinaka.
Here today's exchange rates are set this morning. The Fijian Sangamoli gained on its third straight day against the major currencies. However, it weakened against our major trading partners, Australia and New Zealand. The commodities market had a good day. The price of crude oil increased to over $24 per barrel. Gold was up, closing at $1,665 an ounce, and silver also rose, closing at $14.44 per ounce. That's it from Business Tonight. Jamie joins you now with the latest from sports.
Naka Whitney, and good evening. In sports tonight, Olympic Games postponed. An efforts made to look after Silktails despite tournament suspension. Details after the break.
Bola, I'm Miri, I'm from Lotoka, and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
The Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games has been postponed until 2021. The decision comes as the number of positive COVID-19 cases has risen around the world. Tale Materkula has more.
The decision was made in the best interest of everyone involved in the Games.
In order to safeguard the health of the athletes and everybody involved in the Olympic Games, that we have to postpone the Olympic and Paralympic Games Tokyo 2020.
International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach says no change will be made to the Games, even though it will be held next year.
The name will be kept as Olympic Games Tokyo 2020, again to show our commitment and the highly symbolic meaning. At the end, a celebration of humankind having overcome this unprecedented challenge of the coronavirus.
Team Fiji Chef de Mission Patrick Bauer has welcomed the decision.
We really don't know what the total number is exactly, but we do know that there is an increase. And taking that into consideration, in all fairness to the athletes, it was the best way forward for them to postpone the event.
It is the first time ever in Olympics history that the event has been postponed. The new dates are yet to be confirmed as the IOC has left the decision until early 2021. Tale Materkula, FBC Sports.
Fiji football have cut down on unnecessary spending and new staff recruitment to cushion the impacts of the current economic downturn. With many sporting events cancelled or postponed amid the COVID-19 outbreak, the football body says they have implemented measures to keep afloat. Nina Rakautanga has more.
The Fiji Football Association has plans in place to ensure there are minimum impacts on their day-to-day running.
Yes, of course, there's no income locally now. Very hard because no tournaments in the National League. We also are getting percentage. So we have taken all that out, and we have put a hold on no more recruitment of staff. We also put a hold on no more capital expenditure so that we can sustain ourselves.
Meanwhile, the Nandi Football Club is not taking any chances and has given its players training programs to work on individually.
Everybody has to stay safe. So we have given individual players training program which they can do in their own compounds, which is important for them to continue practicing. And I think it just needs about 6 to 7 yards, 8 yards area where they can do their training, and I think that will help us when that season starts.
Fiji FA hopes to resume its local tournaments by May so the national team can also prepare for the OFC Nations Cup. Venina Rakotonga, FBC Sports.
The Kaiviti Silktails Rugby League players have continued to receive allowances since dispersing last week prior to the lockdown in Lautoka. The Silktails players have been given training programs and will be on their own until the government gives the green light to reassemble. Fiji National Rugby League Interim Chief Executive Don Natambe says as the players are contracted, they are still receiving allowances despite the Ron Massey Cup being put on hold due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
We have been reassured that the payments that are due to them in terms of allowances have been paid up till the end of this month, and whatever lies beyond that, I think that is something that the management of the Silktails are going to relook at. replan, and of course they will they'll make sure that there's something in that for taking care of the players.
The Queensland Reds are working to stay as connected as possible despite having to train in near isolation. Flying Fijians utility Josh Matavesi is excited to be back with Bath Rugby Club. That's it from sports. Angie joins you with weather later on, but in new media right after the break, Apple's Siri has been updated to provide advice on COVID-19. That's coming up.
Bula, I'm Miri, I'm from Lotoka, and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
And our favorite weather lady, Angie, joins us now with all the latest.
Buonasera. It's a tribute to all our friends and families fallen in Italy due to this ongoing virus. Buonasera actually means good evening in Italian. Now to the weather, it's been good to us without much hassle of rain. I think it's a plus point. Now looking to the west, sunny and warm. Remember, if you are to stay indoors, then please do so. Eastwards from Peck Harbour to Suva, sunshine took the stand to say yes, that's all me right there. The night, however, will not be clear. And up north, same weather pattern like the eastern areas, moderate winds with sunshine. At sea, southeast winds 15 to 20 knots, moderate to rough seas. Now turning to the tides, high tide at 1:44 a.m. with low tide at 7:55 p.m. Sunrise at 6:11. For tomorrow, showers and showers. There's nothing more to add on to it. Tomorrow's temps, Lautoka will take on the heat at 32 degrees. And looking further on to Friday, good thing it's a Friday and nearing the weekend, but the downfall would be rain. So since most of the exciting places are closed, you can take a good rest at home and keep washing your hands. Jackie.
Some solid advice there. Thanks so much for that, Angie. In Fijian Pulse tonight, we asked, should government consider shutting down Suva if people continue to disregard social distancing directives?
Yes, the government should do that because it's a caution to each and everyone.
There should be a preventative measures in place for us, for the public.
I believe they should have restrictions in places where cases have emerged.
I think it's the best idea to stop hanging around doing nothing around in town.
I think it should be for the safety of Fijians.
Because this disease it doesn't have a cure, so to prevent it from spreading, government should place a curfew in schools.
I believe people should listen to government and the health ministry's advisories regarding the matter.
Follow the commands and authorities from the government, and of course we should, like if the government allows for a curfew, we should at least follow them.
Recapping the main stories for tonight, Fiji's COVID-19 patient number increases yet again. Airport is shut down tomorrow, and expect more cases of coronavirus. Now for these stories and others, tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. Our poll question this week we're asking, should supermarkets restrict the number of items one can purchase during the COVID-19 period? Visit our FBC website to answer. And on to our shot of the day. This was captured by air traffic controller Jackie Tambua. Tambua says she's seen this view at the Nandi International Airport 1,000 times. Except this is a bittersweet moment, with planes parked until the end of May. Now, with COVID-19 affecting the world, if you are in any area, particularly Lautoka, send us newsworthy pictures and videos of what you are up to during the lockdown on email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj, via Facebook page FBC News, our Twitter page at FBC_news, or simply hashtag FBC News. And before we go, remember that we are in the midst of a global pandemic. Please ensure to follow all advice from authorities and also only follow the official announcements and updates. If you are out shopping, please be considerate. That's your news for tonight. From the team and I, stay safe, wash your hands, and be kind, dear Fiji. Bye for now.
Bula, I'm Miri, I'm from Lotoka, and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.